Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Okay, we are going on set. A lovely morning to you, and thank you very much for being with us on UBC TV. I'm Robert Chirabo Onyonyintono, and today I'm going to be discussing a very important topic. Parents, husbands, wives, grandparents, if there is anything very important that is going to affect this generation and the next generation, is the topic we are discussing today. And that is fatherhood in a contemporary world, leading with presence, purpose, and legacy. And joining me on set, I have two guests. One is Colonel Edith Nakalema, Special Presidential Assistant on Investment Protection. Colonel, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Robert. It's a pleasure to be with you all here.
And at the extreme end, I have the Provincial President of the Fathers Union, Church of Uganda, Samuel Bakuntana, who is also the CEO of Inspire Leaders International. But today, he is putting on that heavy coat of being the presidential, provincial president of the Fathers Union, Church of Uganda. So he aids fathers in the Fathers Union and Church of Uganda. I'm humbled to have these two guests. Now, first and foremost, let me begin with Colonel Edith Nakalema.
Yes, sir.
Colonel, we've seen you so pertinently.
Yes.
Focusing on fathers. And one would first of all want to know what inspired you. Many know you on the other side, but of late actually not of late, for decades you've been very intentional in the field of fathers.
Yes.
Yes, please.
So, first and foremost, our viewers, it is a good morning, and those of you that are going through challenges, may God carry you through. He's a God who never fails. The ones that are celebrating, we celebrate with you. So Robert, I chose to write this book titled My Father and I, The Power of Intentional Fatherhood, just because I had a father who loved and cared so much, who served humanity with dedication, who was very present in our lives, who was very intentional in his love. And in a bit, I will explain, in my view, what I call intentional fatherhood. And so when my father, the late now, Omuburu's Reverend Edisaf Serada, and it's intentional when I say Omuburu's Tata, he was a Church of Uganda lay reader for 53 years, and he was ordained a reverend in his retirement years. He was ordained a reverend when he was already 73 years of age, here in Buganda, Central Buganda Diocese, by Bishop Michael Boa, who we are forever grateful to, because my father served in Ankole all his time. He established and some of the churches he built with his hands. He was a hard-working person who didn't have money, who didn't, because the Muburs definitely was earning so little. We are 5 children. I am the firstborn, so I have other 4 siblings. But my father, who had no money, in my book, there are chapters I will talk about, but there is a chapter that I am very, very passionate about, and that chapter is it chapter 8, where, yes, chapter 8 is our old trusted bicycle. The biggest property that we owned happily was our old, my father's old but very clean bicycle, which took us to school. And that bicycle was, to us, actually even my father referred to his bicycle as a Humber. And when we asked what a Humber was, he said that the Humber was a vehicle that drove, that the Queen of England drove. And so that bicycle to us was a wonder. The bicycle was school. He would ride us to school singing, Jesus alone is enough in his Runyankore. No bundi jirabazi, Yesu enka namara. And then he would send Yomu Kristayo, Diagumizamu. So he would ride singing. So the bicycle was like a studio. It was a school. He would go teaching us. Every morning he would remind us that time to go to school is very limited. It's very few peaceful years. That each year you lose at school can never be regained at all. And so the bicycle was a school, but also our bicycle was a delivery van. At night, our father would be working. He would fabricate metals. He would do water gutters. So in the morning when he had delivered us to school, then he would now go to deliver what he would be working with. So when you ask me why I wrote, I wanted to tell a story of a father who loved and taught us, his children and many others. The chapter I love most in my book is chapter 9, which is called A Man Without Money Who Gave Thousands, who gave scholarships. He paid for so many children in school, other many poor children in school. So when I started writing, I didn't intend to write a book. I was only journaling. It was kind of therapeutic. I wanted to heal because my father passed on very suddenly. It was a heart attack, and in less than 4 hours, he was already with the Lord. Many thanks to Bishop, Associate Professor, Bishop Sheldon Mwesgo.
So, Kano, basically...
So I wrote to put a story of a man, to me, who remains a very distinguished father. I wrote my experience. Mine is not a story. It is an experience of love, purpose, and indeed legacy.
Well, I've been reading the book for now a couple of days, and for me, when you talk about that trusty bicycle,
yes,
part that interests me is that you and your brother still argue what model it was.
Yes, up to today.
Up to today. So when I was reading that, actually I had to watermark it because the mark that would prove you wrong disappeared over time. Well, it's a very interesting book, I must say, and it's a must read. Now I want to bring in the provincial president, Fathers Union Church of Uganda. When Kano talks about fathers, she mentions two pertinent issues. One is purpose.
Yes.
2 is legacy. 3 is presence. Now,
Purpose, presence,
and legacy.
Yes.
And we'll look into those deeper, each of the 3.
Okay.
But as Fathers Union, today, how on a general scale would you rate fathers regarding these 3?
I don't know how to do such a thing because there are different kinds of fathers who are at different kinds of rating if we were to use the word rating. But what I can say is that there are so many awesome fathers who are looking at those 3 and giving them serious attention. They are present, they are purposeful and intentional in their fatherhood journey, and also they have the end in mind. They are looking at the legacy they will leave as fathers. But we also have a big number of fathers who are 23 degrees below sea level when it comes to these 3 things. When it comes to purpose, they are not intentional in their fatherhood. When it comes to presence, they are only giving presents, but not giving presence. When it comes to legacy, they are not looking at the end game. They're not looking at the end goal. So that's why I said I don't know how to rate them, because it depends upon each individual and how they are doing their fatherhood. So there are some that are doing amazing things. There are others that are not doing anything. Yeah.
And you've just rightly said you don't know how to rate them, but I can say in my opinion, those that are doing that 3, it's just a handful. Majority of fathers, and very sudden, why I inspire many Ugandans to read this book, most of the fathers, that there is a point where we've become complacent.
Yes, that's true.
There is a point. Yesterday I had something that spoke so much to me as a father. After church, I took my children to one of the leisure parks. Now I have a boy, I have a girl. Well, moving around, they were enjoying. Now, there were 2 women behind me. And when I received a call and I was speaking on phone, they said her fathers of today, now that one has gone to their mother, picked them, to have them, brought them, buy them gifts, then returns them. And at the end of their children are also funny. They will then praise the father who only comes and picks them. Rafunye kasente rayagala nabazayo. I'm a happily married man. And I'm with my children.
Yes.
But that is how complacent.
Conversation.
And they were speaking for the rest. Now, when I went home and shared with my wife, she said, when you called me on a video call, because I knew you were taking children out, I said, people are going to say, look at this single father. So, even you. She said, even you.
Yes.
So I came to realize that because we've moved from our position, we've become complacent. And this is why I want to bring in Kano. When you talk of the word intentional,
Yes.
what do you mean by the word intentional
When
in this perspective?
Friends, when I talk of our dear viewers, ladies and gentlemen, in your respective capacities, and Robert Chirabo, I love your name. Chirabo is a gift. You are a gift from God, and thank you for being an intentional father. Thank you for taking out those children, but I am glad you had the conversation, which actually dominates many places where I have been too. I have had many mothers approach me to say, Kano, you as a soldier woman, how are you perceived by your in-laws? Because many people think that a woman soldier is always in her uniform. Maybe she just gives birth and throws the children to the father
And goes to the battlefield.
goes to the battlefield, maybe misbehave there. But I keep telling them that mine is a calling. Even my soldiering is a calling. My motherhood is a calling, because I was lucky to have been brought up by an intentional father. So coming back to your question, what is intentional fatherhood? In my view, intentional fatherhood is not authoritarian. When you say intentional, I'm not referring to the word being very authoritative or a father that is so authoritative. Intentional fatherhood, I will give 3 points. In my view, how I describe intentional fatherhood, and I like, you see how I used to look at my father, and this was like a month to his passing.
Yeah.
We were in the church, and I was really thanking God that the Lord had given him what he long wanted. He wanted to be a reverend, and the Lord had done it. So it was after a big Thanksgiving, and we're back to my roots, where he served for over 20 years, Rentanga Church of Uganda, where he taught us how to write in sand. If you read that book, you'll see how my father taught so many of us, the young children, who were in hundreds during the 1979 war. I was only 4 years, but he was giving us, he was teaching us how to write in sand, and he would do for us blocks. In other words, he never wanted us, those are my siblings, he never wanted us to cross to each other. In other words, he was fighting land grabbing in that context. So 3 points about intentional fatherhood. I just made my notes as I was coming, because as like what I have wrote, not many may read it, but I really appeal to everyone that loves to read this book, because it has very many voices. So 3 things that I talk about intentional fatherhood. It is firmness without cruelty. Being an intentional father, again, is not being authoritative. It is being firm on what you're doing without being cruel. Number 2, it is pursuing discipline, imparting discipline in your children and those around you, those under your stewardship, without humiliating them. So discipline without humiliation. Discipline people without humiliating them. My father was receiving His Excellency the President there, which I will talk about in another chapter. And the third, on intentional fatherhood, it is having authority but not being dominant. Having your authority or using your authority without being very dominant. Importantly, an intentional father must be present, must be purposeful, must leave a legacy, and that legacy that we appeal for is a legacy that you leave with your children with what they will remember you for. And this one should be how they will remember you, how you made them feel, what you left in them, not what you left for them. It is not about material. It is about how you made your children feel. It is what the character you imparted in them. When I talk about the word character in this view, I will say that character is more important than comfort. The character you build in your children, the character you pursue, the character the values you impart in your children, it is what will make them live happily or regret why or what they learned from you. So presence.
Very important.
Presence is very important.
Because fathers of today
is much more important than the presents, than the gifts, than the status, than the properties. Presence is very important. And presence communicates three things, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Presence in someone's life communicates three things. Presence communicates that you matter. When I am present with you, like we are here, and again, thank you, Mr. Chirabo, thank you, Sir President, that you came. Because presence communicates that you matter.
Presence. That's why I'm present. Importance.
Importance. You matter. You are loved. That's why we are present. So you feel where you're present, you are sharing love. That it communicates that you're loved. And finally, presence communicates that you are not alone. When I come to you, definitely you're not alone. So presence is that important. Purpose. With purpose, you need to be purposeful in what you're doing, and this purpose communicates that everything you're doing, you are saying you have a reason why you do it, and you want it to live much longer. So purpose is more important than possessions. You aim at doing something with a purpose that should remain. Everything we do, we want it to stay. Stay in a positive way. Stay doing good. Stay feeling better. Stay showing others the right way. Living by example. Children care more about what they see, not what they hear.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yes. They care more about what they see us doing, us the parents or us their elders. They take what we do more serious than what we advise them to do or what we say or what we discuss. So let us be people that will be purposeful in what we do, because what we do is what our children will finally carry. Yes.
Now, very interesting. Our viewer, I know you may have not yet gotten yourself a copy. This book, I'm lucky I was able to get this book some days back, and I spent a lot of time reading this book. But I want to tell you, at some point I became very emotional while reading this book, and at the same time very happy that in this day and age we have a lady who can tell her experience with the father, and there are thousands of lessons for us to learn. One of the chapters that touched me, I think, it is when Afande you wrote about my father's care for my mother. That is page 61.
Yes.
This
and if these people could put for us how my father always looked at his wife, who he called my beloved wife. My father cared for his wife passionately. My father was a very loving man. For me, why I am so much attached to my father now that even when he's departed, my father will live in my heart forever. Look at how the man always was extremely happy looking at his wife, beloved Midress. For her, she's still alive. She misses that love. She misses that smile. She misses that touch. By the way, one other thing I want to tell our viewers and listeners, touching those you love makes a big difference.
Physical touch.
Physical touch makes a big difference. Our father, every morning, he would get up before 6 to touch each one of us on the heads. And he had big, soft hands. So he would touch my head, I still feel my father's touch. I will live with it. It can't go away. And I try my best to touch my children every morning because it made a big difference to me. So every morning, my father would touch each of our heads and say, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord shine his light upon you and give you peace. May the Lord make you heads and never to be tails. May the Lord make you dine with kings and queens. So one time, I found myself working for His Excellency, the President. Chapter 11 of my book, is it chapter 11? Yes. I talk about national fatherhood, chapter 11 and chapter 12. I talk about I talk about national fatherhood and motherhood by my second father. I am privileged to call His Excellency President Museveni my second father in this book.
Yes, yes.
Because he has nurtured my public life. He has given me a platform to serve my country. He has trained me to the best schools. While my father took me to only third world schools, which he could manage, took me there with love, took me there with courage, took me there with all that it took for me to feel like I was a treasure, together with all my siblings. Our father, who didn't have money, he managed to take the 5 of us up to the level of university. We are all university graduates, and me, I've been lucky. His Excellency the President took me up to the Defense Academy of the United Kingdom, where I was lucky to have my postgraduate studies at King's College London. I have done my second master's at Makerere University under the stewardship of His Excellency President Museveni. I am forever grateful, and I will serve my country with purpose because His Excellency President Museveni gave me all the confidence, has nurtured me, has entrusted me. I call that a handshake that I missed because I feared to touch the hand of the president. I was a mere second lieutenant when I first met him face to face. I was guarding Mama Maria Nyerere. So for me, I am forever grateful that I have been between 2 intentional fathers. President Museveni is an intentional father of this nation. You have seen how he mobilizes the youth who he lovingly called the Bazkur. You have seen Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, who I call my second mother in this book. She helped me, Mama Janet helped me to style up. A girl from Kashari, I didn't know how to appear in a diplomats, in a cabinet, and so Mama Janet really, if you look at how I touch him, I have a great mother in her. I have a wonderful mentor, but you know that she's an excellent leader, but also a smart lady, and she's been awarded for that many times on the continent.
Robert, you raised the critical thing which she has responded to concerning the relationship between the father and the mother, which you pointed out in the book. I felt we needed to say a little bit more about it. We need to realize that the marriage environment is the incubation for the parenting role. So any father who is going to be the intentional, present, legacy-minded father has to be that kind of a person who pays attention to his marriage, because the marriage environment is the incubation, it's the incubator for the children. In other words, the state of your marriage, Robert, will determine the strength of your parenting. Let me put it that way. The state of your marriage will determine the strength of your parenting as a father. I happen to be an author too. I've written a few books here and there, including in the areas of fatherhood. And in one of my books, I talked about the fact that there is a direct relationship, and I just took note of it here as you were sharing. There is a direct relationship between the relationship between the husband and wife and raising a happy and healthy family. And out of my research, this is what I found out, that a disrespectful marriage will raise arrogant children.
Even when you're passing by
yes.
and you see the games they are playing,
Yes.
if they are playing mommy and dad has a stick and is caning mommy. So when you see the play, it will explain what is in the family. You don't need to see so much.
A loving marriage raises kind children. And again, I wish you could also have an example of what I've just said.
When you
Because
find
I
them,
see, because I see you are always trying to look for the bad examples of fathers, but they are good examples of fathers. And that is the general media kind of projection of a father, which is not right. They are fathers that are doing a good job, and I want us to highlight them. So whereas I said a disrespectful marriage raises arrogant children, and you brought out the example of a man with a stick, here is the second one. A loving marriage raises kind children. Can we also find an example? Of
yes,
man?
when you see them playing, you see this one bring sweets, I've bought you a dress, I've bought you, because that's what he
Yes,
sees.
I also found out that deceitful couples usually raise cunning children. When the father and the mother, the husband and wife, are deceitful, they raise children that are cunning. They know how to play tricks with people around them. That violent couples usually raise bitter children. When the father is always beating the mother, or the mother is beating the father, as it is happening nowadays, then you are going to raise children who are bitter, who have volcanic anger within their hearts. Prayerful couples, like Colonel Edith's parents, prayerful couples usually raise children that trust God. And you can even hear it through the words of Colonel Edith. That she's somebody who trusts God. You hear it. You hear it coming through her conversation. It is partly or largely because she was raised by prayerful couples, godly couples. Also, a couple that communicates effectively raises children who relate meaningfully. So the issue of communication, how you communicate as a husband and a wife. In addition, this is now another interesting one, that couples who are sexually fulfilled, they raise children who are happier. I mean,
Well, allow me.
so the marriage really determines the fatherhood and the motherhood role. The marriage is the incubator. And if we could give enough attention to the strength of our marriages, as men, as women, we would find ourselves consequentially having a better environment within which to become the intentional fathers that Colonel Edith has written about.
Very interesting observations there. And I must say, fellow Ugandans, you need to have a copy of this book, because whatever we've talked about is in this book. And this is not from utopia. I must say, I agree with the Fathers Union president, the provincial president, that so much bad is so out regarding men. And also the problem we have is certain things have been done for a very long time, but we've accepted and lived with them. Today, Colonel, when you talk about presidency, why I want you to emphasize this, I've met in my career as a journalist, the first time I was assigned a bit, we call it crime. So every time I was covering crime, and one of the areas I enjoyed was the Child and Family Protection Unit. When I would go to police, there was always a story there, some very humorous, but you would find that men of today, presidency to men of them doesn't matter, Kano. And they would ask, what does she want? I pay rent, I pay fees, I pay everything. Now, are children not eating? But yes, are they not going to school? They're going to school. Have I not paid rent? I've paid rent.
But Robert, do you know where that question comes from? Do you know where that question comes from? It comes from the socialization of a man. A man's value in our world is evaluated by what he is able to do, not who he is, which is unfortunate. A man is summarized by how much he has brought, by whether he has paid school fees, by whether the rent has been paid, whether he has built a house. A man, socially speaking, is evaluated and summarized by his deeds, not his being. And that's where that question is coming from. Because now a man feels like as long as I can provide, put a shelter, pay school fees, I have done my work. So, and that's why now a book like this becomes critical, that it is taking us away from what a man does and just provides to who a man is. When you say presence, you're talking about the being, that you are able to be there. When you talk about intentionality, you're talking about the being. And our viewers, you need to be challenged to stop summarizing a whole man in what he can be able to do and provide. And start to look at a man from the angle of who he can be able to be. The
and this is where I want to bring in
the present man, the intentional man. That's why they ask that question, because we have told them that their fatherhood should rotate around what they do, not who they are.
Now, very interesting in this book still, Colonel, I know time may not allow me to go through the entire book, but I found very interesting and I was watermarking. Now, here you talk about our father's love.
Our
and protection.
Love and protection, yes. Yes. Now, allow me to pick from the provincial president, who is my friend, who also hosted me on Family TV, and we discussed this same subject. He has read this book, and this book is available in most of the key bookshops and some supermarkets, meanwhile. I am grateful to the many leaders out there who are taking these books in bulk. And I hope, and my sincere prayer is that if even one father can change and give the priceless gift of presence to his children, my father's legacy of godly values and purposeful presence in our lives and the many other lives that he nurtured, I will be fulfilled in that way. Let me comment on the fact that there are many good fathers. I appreciate that. There are many good fathers, intentional fathers like you, Chirabo, who moves out to their children, like President Samuel Kutana here. He loves his wife, Bakutana, apologies. He loves his wife. He calls his wife a name that is, I'm not supposed to mention, is the one.
My watermelon.
That is his wife. And my father's protection is what I would wish all fathers who care should do, but even those that are not caring yet, I want to excuse all fathers because I know that for sure you do not give what you do not have, what you are not given also. Maybe many fathers out there also didn't receive their father's love, their father's touch, their father's presence. And therefore they think, many fathers, I have seen it, and I take it from your example, which is true, that many fathers ask, in particular ours in the forces, omukazi anjagaza ki emere awakanjitaddewo nazimba fizi nziwaddeyo. What children and wives need is not just material. It is your physical presence, because identity, confidence and contentment are nurtured by those who love us. If you want your family, your children, your wife, and those under your care, all those that you guardian, wherever they, as long as they are in your space, what they need from you is you giving them your identity. We belong to you. We want to sit with you. We want to live, we want to eat with you at the same table. We want you, our father, to visit us at school, even after you have paid school fees. Thank you. The fees is much needed. But that fees is not talking to us. It is the teachers that are talking to us. And allow me, dear fathers and brothers out there, let me request that many of you should not be talking to your children as if it is an interview. Have you read your books? Have you crossed that door? Please come here. Give these children time to listen. You listen to your children also. Children need to be listened to. Wives need us. Wives, we need your time as our husbands. We want to sit with you and also shed off what we meet out there. The food, we love it. Thank you. Bring the food, bring all. But give us your emotional presence.
The food for the soul.
food for the soul. So allow me finish by, well, I don't know whether it is finishing, but there are these questions. That's my father with President Museveni at our home, 2014. So this is what I would want us to all answer as parents. These are questions that linger most in our children's lives when we do not know. Children are always asking, who am I? When they are young, they're asking, who am I?
The question of identity.
Well, can I ask that we be very brief?
Yes.
I have to go to Parliament for parliamentary committees, but let me just give you a minute for your parting shot.
Parting shot. I am my parting shot today is that I have been lucky to have an audience at our own UBC to talk about intentional fatherhood. Allow me to summarize this, that presence is much more important than presence. Be present in the lives of your children for you to, as fathers. Identity, security, and contentment are shaped by fathers. That's not a part of mothers. Mothers are we are custodians, we are nurturers, we are multipliers. We multiply everything you give us as men. So presence remains, fathers' presence in the lives of their children is more important than presence. Building character, shaping character is more important than creating comfort around them. Please, fathers, you will only be remembered by what you put in your children, what you wear to them, not what you give them in terms of property. In other words, purpose is more important than possession. And so I thank you, and I pray that all fathers will give the priceless gift of presence to the lives of their children, their wives, and those that matter. I thank His Excellency President Museveni and Mama Janet Kata Museveni because they are intentional parents of this nation. They give us their presence. They give us their love. They have nurtured us. Me, I am a very, very fortunate person that I have them as my second parents. They have nurtured, they have shaped my public life. I thank the leadership of UBC, the Managing Director, Canon Winston Agaba, and his deputy Morris. Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert Chirabo. Thank you, our producer, and thank you, Mr.
Well, President, just wave to my audience. I must sign off and quickly go for committees of parliament.
I wave to you by saying that if you want your children to be in your life tomorrow, you better be in their life today. And that is what presence is about. If you want them to be in your life tomorrow, be in their life today. Go and guard, guide, and govern your home as a man, mentor, model, and minister to your children. And as you are doing that, remember that the marriage is the incubation for your parenting role.
Well, I must...
Finally, one word, just one word. Fathers, please provide spiritual leadership. A father's declaration in the lives of their children matters. If you get up every morning, declare that your children will be excellent. Declare that your children will be great leaders. Declare that your children will never fail. And indeed, it will happen because you, parents, you are co-creators with God. But fathers, you are given a responsibility to protect, to guide, to nurture, and to dominate this world and multiply it. God bless you mightily.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you, Colonel Edith Nakalema, and, of course, the Provincial President of the Fathers Union of Church of Uganda. I implore every Ugandan, please get a copy of this book. There is so much that we've not been able to discuss. And fathers, be intentional fathers. Presence is very important. See you tomorrow. God willing, have the very best of your day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
In Uganda, mornings don't begin with sunrise. They begin with courage. One man, one factory that has refused to stay